All right. Everybody, welcome to today's local discovery session. We are going to start with a quick project update, and then we are going to jump into our UAT session. We are kicking off release 2 of UAT today. So we have lots of people on the call to get a look at this. Very excited to be able to dive into that with you all. Al, do you want to talk through this,
Yeah,
or do you
sure.
want? Okay.
Okay. Thanks everybody. Um, so we've been working diligently on development, and this top part is what we're working on in Sprint 26. We're currently in the first week of 27. Sprint 26, a lot of work got done. Service collection updates, goals and objectives. We did some work on the negotiated goals, and you can see that there. We have a career plan back in. When we say back in, it means getting all the storage and retrieval stuff working correctly, and setting that up for the front end work. Grants, we actually got grants going. Shelled out landing page, listing panel, and details view. Case notes, there's some work been done on that. Skills gained, measured skills gained, updating the IWDS browser tab names and the ETPL pre-screening. We did some changes to that. We've actually added an FEIN verification there. Continued discovery work. There's been a lot of work going on in customer intake and customer profile. Of course, these other places are continuing with different groups, case notes, expand intake to incorporate wheel, which is the applications piece, assessments, services, career plan, and then training program definition it's about wrapped up, and grant management is about wrapped up too on discovery. Those are all things that we've been working on in either requirements discovery or development. So a lot going on. I think we've got a UAT coming up shortly that Olivia is going to talk about. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of more UAT with training plan, ETPL, all that kind of stuff. So Olivia, take it away.
All right, so we're going to jump right into UAT. I have some background information I'm going to go over with folks because I know not everybody was on the last UAT session. So, the way that I will go through this is the first thing I'm going to show you is the UAT Release 2 Cycle 1 guide. Then I'm going to give you a little preview of the notebook, and then I'm going to actually go into the tool and give you a little demo of what you're going to be looking at. I'm not going to go super deep into all of the tool live. That is what you guys are going to be doing after today's session. So the ask is that after today's session, you use the links we provided you and you go in and you start playing around with the tools, making sure you understand them, making sure they're working correctly, and you provide us any feedback via the notebook that I'm going to go over. So the first thing I have is this guide, and the guide, the front, the overview part of the guide, and the expectations and homework really lays out what is UAT and how you should be participating in it. So UAT is user acceptance testing. So you guys are testing this to make sure that it is working to meet the needs of the end user and be used in the field. We do want to note that it is important not to enter any personal identifiable information. So part of what we're doing today is we're going to be adding some MSGs. As part of that, we're uploading documents. Please create a test document or grab like a test document or a logo of your LWIA, something like that, that you can use to upload as an example. We don't want you uploading any personal files, any files with customer information or your information on there. This is for testing purposes and is in our UAT environment. So please just make sure you're being mindful about what you're uploading to the system. Right now, everybody who goes into UAT is going to have access to the same things. So your stuff is not secured or locked down to only you. Um, and then, so first we want to move into regular repeating process of user acceptance testing and general validation of the system early and often. So right now, we're just really looking at the user interface of the MSG tool. we will be laying over some additional business logic here when we have other parts of the tool developed. So we're still developing the application and the career plan and the exits and outcomes. We know as some of that stuff comes in, we're going to be able to enhance MSGs a little better. So for example, if I'm an in-school youth, I might have some different text than if I'm an adult or dislocated worker or out-of-school youth regarding when I'm required to participate in MSG. We're going to be able to have some dynamic text there that align more to the program requirements because we know those are a little different. We're also looking at trying to auto answer some of these questions or highlight when MSGs need to be done based on different services or actions that happened in the system. Until we have services and a career plan and outcomes, we can't really do that. So right now it's more the user interface that we're looking at and not necessarily some more intuitive business logic that we will be laying over later down the road. Um, and we want to put this into practice. So not only do we want to make sure it works, but we want to make sure it works in real life scenarios of adding stuff to the system. So you want to look at it from those perspectives. So the homework areas we're going to be focusing on this week. UAT will run 1 week for this cycle, and then next week we're going to be meeting again to look at some more customer and application listings and duplicate searches. But for this week, we're looking at measurable skill gains, the ability to add a measurable skill gain, view measurable skill gains in a table. We have some filters on that table, some sortable columns, some pagination, and some MSG actions where we can download and remove MSG files and records as needed. So again, we have 1 week to do this. This guide also provides you with a link to the test environment. So this is also in the email you got. So this is where you're going to go in to actually engage with the tools. And then reporting issues. So this second link is a link to our notebook. So this is where you're going to log your findings. And I will look at that after we get through this top section of the guide. Whenever you're logging your entries, you should document the information as you're completing your UAT work. So as you find things, you want to go in and put them into the notebook. You don't really want to wait until the whole week has ended and then go in and do it. We can forget things that way. We can also, we're going in and looking at them pretty frequently. So just having that information in there sooner rather than later is helpful. The first page of the notebook is labeled, I actually moved it down. The third page of the notebook is now labeled example issue reporting. You can refer to this if you're not sure like how you should report things in there. The big takeaway is we need to know where you're at. So a link is always very helpful. When we're looking at MSGs, what type of MSG are you on? What is like what's not working or what should be working better? What were the steps you took to get there to like result in the issue? And then screenshots. If you have a screenshot of what's going on, those are always helpful as well to include so we can replicate and better understand what you're running into so that we can address it with some kind of fix or enhancement. And so detail, that's this next bullet is just being very detailed on what you're looking at helps us better understand things. We also ask that you put your name in there. So if we have questions, I know like, oh, I should talk to Al about that, or I need to talk to David about this. It just helps us so we can better troubleshoot what you run into if we're not able to easily replicate it. And then if you do have multiple issues, log those separately. So you could have a bullet or a section for each issue instead of like one giant paragraph with 5 issues. It can sometimes be hard for us to decipher where an issue stops and another one starts. So just breaking those out into separate issues. And then if you have any issues with accessing the notebook or the guide or the UAT platform, you can reach out to any of us to get that taken care of. And then the next section is expectations for UAT. We expect it to be tested thoroughly, be detail oriented in your testing, so that we're really sure that what we have is working. And if there is anything not working, we can get it fixed now instead of when we go live. Um, and then this last section is feedback categories. So there are 3 different categories that your feedback could potentially fall within: bugs, it's not working. It should be working a specific way as defined by, the acceptance criteria of how we built it, and it's not working. You will not really know if it's an issue or a bug. We will as we're going through them. Issue is it might be working the way we built it to work, but it is not going to work the way you need it to work in the field. So we are going to need to tweak the way in which it works. So again, you probably won't really know if it's a bug or an issue. You don't need to tag these as any specific thing. We're just kind of laying out the categories that they typically fall in for us. And then the third one is an enhancement. It works, it meets the acceptance criteria for how we built it, and it works the way we would need it to be able to work in the field to federally report, but it could work better or be more intuitive. We do want to know those. We can't necessarily guarantee we'll get all enhancements in. But if there are things that you note like that, definitely make sure you're including those in the notebook as well. And then just best practices for effective UAT. Think like an end user, be specific and thorough, and provide context. And then as we scroll down here, we're going to get into the actual areas that you're going to be testing. Before I go into this, though, I do want to pop over to the notebook to give you guys a view of that. So you guys are going to be working in this first tab, Release 2, Cycle 1, and I have 2 pages in here, adding MSGs and then the MSG display table. So if you guys find issues when you're adding them or when you're viewing the results in the display table, you'll put those in here in these pages. When you do, you'll come in and you'll start your own section and just add your notes, your name, any screenshots. If there's stuff in here, you'll scroll down and add it further down under whatever is already in there. For this cycle, we're only going to be working in this tab. Next week, we'll start this second tab, and then we'll keep going throughout the next couple weeks because we're going to have a lot coming in UAT. And then this tab right here, reporting examples, is an example of how you can enter in an issue if you do find it. And then all these are closed. They were our release 1 items. I'm going to pause right there and see if you guys have any questions before I start going into the MSG screens that you guys are going to look at. Let me open my chat too. I don't have it open just in case somebody's putting stuff in there. Okay. Perfect. All right, so this section of the guide is giving you kind of a visual and overview of the different pages you're going to be looking at so you know what's going on. Just an overview of our MSGs, and then a screenshot. And as you scroll down here, you can see we have the Add MSG. So you click the Add button, and then it walks you through some information here. Shows you the next screens you're going to get. This is really a resource to help you guys know that you're in the right spot and you're moving forward. Just a visual of what you should be seeing as you're going through the MSG testing. The next section is looking at the table. So it gives you a breakdown of the table and the different items there that you can engage with. And I'm going to actually take that out. That's not true. Or that is true, actually. Sorry. So this guide can be used as a resource as you're going through. If you're not sure, you want to understand what something should be doing, we do have it spelled out in here. So with that, I'm going to actually go into the UAT environment for IWDS 2.0 and kind of walk you through all of this. So you guys are going to go to the testing page. So it's in our management tools and in the testing page. And I believe, let me double check. I believe that's what we have linked here. Preview testing. I will link that here. It is, I believe, further down. And then, so these are our various testing components. So we have a lot of these standalone components that are going to be embedded through various areas of the tool as we get more things stood up. You are going to scroll down till you find the MSG section. And you will see some informational text here. And then there's a note as we get further along. Like I said, we're going to make this text dynamic, so it's going to display a little differently for somebody who is an in-school youth. They have some different requirements. And then this is just for testing purposes. MSGs have to be associated with a customer, and this is on our testing page, not on a customer page. So we're just auto associating all of these to our test customer here. And then we get into the table and we have our add MSG button. So we can come in here and click add MSG. It opens our modal. We have some informational text. We can click through and add our different MSGs. As we add them, we'll get some informational text for the educational functional level. There are 3 different types. We are going to tweak this. We did this with the state yesterday, and they already had some feedback on tweaking this page, so it's not really numbered here, but more clearly breaks out our 3 types. So we are going to be moving to do a display that looks a little more like this. Let me zoom in. That has, there are 3 ways. The first way is automatic and have it, and then the other 2 ways, and then have those other 2. With EFL, there are multiple types of EFL you can get when you're doing your pre and post assessments, looking for one educational level higher. Those are auto-calculated and added by the system. So this is just giving you that information and directing you to the assessment screen so you can add those results in if you haven't already done so, if that's the type of MSG you're wanting to trigger. Once you have a post-assessment result entered in, that's one functional education level higher, it will automatically add that MSG to the customer. The other 2 are entry into post-secondary education. When you click that as the one you're going to do, you get some questions specific to this type of MSG. These questions are throughout the various MSG types, and they're really aimed at trying to make sure that we've completed or we've done the necessary things in order to be using this type of MSG. So it will ask a question and we can say yes or no. If we say yes, we're good to move forward. If we say no, um, it's going to give us a red message that says the customer does not meet the requirements and then refer to the MSG policy. So these were written in a way to function as like a check to make sure we're adding the appropriate MSGs for the customer based on the policy requirements. If we have yes, though, we're good to add it. Then we can upload a document that we want to associate with that. There's info bubbles here to give more information on uploading documentation. They're different for each MSG type. We can enter the date attained. And then any comments. And this is optional. You don't have to do this, but you can. And then verify that the customer has met the requirements for this MSG. And then you are able to save that. It'll let you know it's saving. Then you should get a green toast message that it was successful. And it now shows in the table that you added. They have this other past subtest on high school equivalency. This is a new MSG that was put into a Teagle that we're going to be collecting in the new system. And then we have all these other options too. So attain secondary school diploma or recognized equivalent. We want to link this to the outcomes page so that you don't have to add it twice. You just add it to your credential page, and based on specific parameters, it would auto add the MSG if that trigger has triggered for an MSG and you meet the requirements for that. We don't have this page established yet, so that's why it's a to do, but we do want to have similar here, a direct button that'll jump you, like this one would jump you right to the assessments page, which we're building out. Then we have the secondary transcript and report card. These are a little more streamlined because there are only 1 options instead of the EFL, which had the 3. So it's jumping right into it. Overview, questions, upload with some info text, and then our standard set of upload file, data obtained, comments, and verification. We did rename some of these MSGs to better align with the TEAGL and recommendations from DOL. Um, all of these have the logic in there as well. So if I click one that would not meet the requirements, it is letting me know. We are currently working on building this out. We want to expand it to include information on clock hours and update policy for that, but we're still working through that. So this text might change a little bit when we have that finalized. We have the training milestones and progress reports, and then skills progression. So we want you guys to work through these, look at them, make sure you're able to understand them and the MSG requirements around them, and engage with that. And then we also have our table. So if you want to see specific MSGs, you can filter it down. You can search by program year. It filters down. You can remove those. You can add multiple, like filter, 2 things at a time. Um, and then the last thing we have is our action items. So you can download the file that was used, and then you can remove the MSG if it was added incorrectly. And now it's gone. So that is MSGs. We want you guys to take some time getting in there and messing around with it, but I want to go ahead and pause right here and open things up for questions that you guys have, or if there's something you want to take a closer look at. I'm looking at the chat too. I see some questions in here. Yes, the notebook will be the same as UAT last cycle. Yep. I see an option to delete the document added. Are we going to have the ability to delete document MSGs? We usually do have the ability, and we usually don't have the ability in the current system. So yeah, right now we do have the ability for folks to delete MSGs if that's something that we need to lock down once we have rules in place. So maybe only the administrators have that ability. That's definitely something we can do. But some role will have the ability to do that, but we can take it away from other roles if that is something that's needed. So yeah, right now, can anyone delete information in MSG once it's entered? Anyone that has access to the customer record can. Right now, all of you guys have access to the same record, so any of you can. But once we have roles and offices and stuff set up, you'll only be able to for yours. But yes, and like I said, if we need to slim that down, we can.
Olivia,
Um,
um, you said that there's going to be like it's going to be intuitive between MSG and credential, for example.
mhm.
Is it going to be set up to go both ways or just one direction?
So it will go one direction because if you come here to try to add it, it's going to push you to the modal to add the credential. So you'll just add it there and then it populates back on the MSG table.
Okay, thank you.
Um, and that's the same with the educational functional level. It's pushing you to the assessment results instead of like having you enter it in here. And then somebody asked, when you putting in a comment, is that noted anywhere? The comments will live right here with the MSGs in the MSG table. We can, if that's something that you think would be beneficial, is not only having it in the MSG table, but having it populate, like in the case notes or communication area. Um, Definitely note that in the notebook, and that's something we can explore. Will there be a phase during the UAT to discuss desired reports to the system? Yes. So we have scratched the surface of report discovery, but we still have some front end tools that we're working through before we do a deep dive in the reports. We are tracking report requests though. So if there are, so you said, for example, with MSGs, it would be excellent to show customers that are in or have completed training, but are missing an entered MSG. So we have the IPATS dashboard. We're going to be connecting that to IWDS 2.0, which then drills down to the customer lists and gives you see these numbers. Yeah. So it gives you the counts for those and you can drill down to see the customer list. We're going to bring that over and make some enhancements on it. So we can note that having something like this, I think it does something similar right now, but maybe not exactly what you're saying. We can note that in our report request document that we're using just because we have a lot of things come up as we're looking at things of like, oh, a report would be good for this. So we're kind of putting it all in one place so we don't lose sight of it. We can add this here. Oh, Lynette just answered that. Sorry, Lynette, you're a little bit ahead of me. All right. Any other questions or is there anything you would like me to go back and show you a little bit more? All right. Well, that will conclude the UAT portion for MSGs. I will be reaching out to the local SMEs again to let them know about next week's doing the customer and application listing and deduplicate customer search. We have made some pretty significant enhancements to that based off of our first release of UAT. So we want to get that back in front of people. So that'll be what we're doing next week. We'll have you follow the same steps where you forward the information on to folks you want to attend and let us know their email addresses if they didn't participate in this round so we can get them added and access to the documents. I see somebody has a hand up. Cassie?
Yes. Hi, good morning. I have a question about real quick before you conclude this portion about
Mhm.
the MSG. So I noticed that you just focused on the educational level, but as far as when they receive certificates and things of that sort, so I noticed that you said once you put in the increase when when they go up a level, it automatically puts in the MSG. But I just want to be clear that like if it's just a certificate of completion, you are still manually putting in that MSG, correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
if those are fallen in, I'm not sure which ones that would fall in off the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, so you have your secondary transcript, your post-secondary transcript, training milestone, and skills progression. So if they earn some other kind of MSG, you would come to the appropriate radio button,
Yep.
answer the question, and upload that.
Okay. I just needed clarification. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Any other questions? It will, right now we have it showing it as it will show in the whole table. If we're getting really long comments and we need a better way to do that, like have it hyperlinked and open, we can definitely do that as well. Any other questions?
When
All
we
right. Yeah, go ahead.
when we access the UAT, just I just want to remember it. Uh, we'll be going directly into these screens, right? We're not going to go to and I don't even know if they're actually still in there, you know, like the fake, the made up make believe customers that we made up when we were practicing entering, you know, customer contact info and all that. We're not going to be going there and then adding these. We're just going straight to like I think you just said they're not going to be linked with any customer. Yeah,
Right, you're gonna go to management tools and you'll go into the testing page. And
there.
then you're just gonna scroll down to the MSG section. Yeah, we don't have these. We still need to build out those customer profiles a little bit more to have that outcomes page where we can embed this in there. Right now, it's just a standalone tool.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted to. I remember you showing us that, and that it's just the setup for test customer under your name. You know, this for now it's just going to be associated with one test
Hmm.
customer. I just want to make sure that when any additional career planner staff that we are able to have help us test this out. Just that I just want to make sure I remind them.
Yeah, and I'll make sure. I think it is in the guide, but if not, I will. Yeah, it's actually not. I'll make sure that we get those steps in there.
Yeah, I forgot that it's
ASAP.
recorded too, so I could just actually remind them to watch the recording of this, and they'll that should, yeah, and it'll be in the guide. It should be in there. Just in case it's the same staff that helped us that did some testing last time when we were doing that, creating customer contact, you know, customer testing. If it just, so they might think like, oh, I'm going to go back in and find one of those customers I created. So I just want to make sure, yeah, I let them know that nope, you're skipping right to this. So thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Hey,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. I'm sorry, I had my hand up. I was going to type this in the chat, but it was too confusing to type. So as you're looking at this table that you've got showing right now,
Mm-hmm.
At first I was confused because the program year 1999 is right in the middle of a whole bunch of 2024s. And then I see over at the other side, it's like that one matches what I assume was the first EFL that was put in. So for this, how is this going to what is the default for it to populate? Are you just not using filters for this or?
Yeah, I'm just not using filters for this. And I believe it is alphabetical and then looks at date, most recent date. This one I had put in a weird date during my testing. We obviously wouldn't have one like that. But it is filtered alphabetical. If there's a better way to filter it, like most recent always shows first, we can do that.
Okay, because I just automatically, thinking about MSGs, you're most concerned about, you don't
Most,
really care where they come from, just that they're in there in a certain program year.
yeah.
So that was why I was confused. I was like, why is that 1999 in the middle of the list?
Yeah, it's I am remember thinking back, I'm pretty sure it's because I'm looking at it, they're alphabetical and it's just the later date of these.
Okay.
Somebody else had a question too.
Yeah, this is Christy. I just have a quick question. There are some people who were not able to attend today, so how can we get them a copy of the recording? Or
Yes. So after the session, it takes like an hour to process, and then
Mhm.
we will upload it to YouTube to get a link. And then Lynette, were you gonna send out an email? Did we talk about that?
I can. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Lynette, if you can send out an email to all of the primary and secondary Elwea SMEs. If we could also include all the resources I sent in my original email that are just like the link to the tool, the guide, and the notebook, as well as the recording, we will send that out to all of you. We will ask though that you need to pass that along to all of your field staff that you want to participate in this. We have gotten several emails from several different people with lots and lots and lots of field staff, and we don't want to accidentally miss somebody. So we're going to send it to our primary and secondary contacts and ask that you guys then distribute that to your field to whoever needs it. And then for folks on this call, if you don't get it, you're here, you're participating, you want the recording for reference, always feel free to reach out to us via email and we will make sure to get it to you. Yeah, so somebody had mentioned that the links to the resources, we have to share access to those. So our primary and secondary contacts should have access, but Teams access is weird. So if you don't have access, let us know and we'll rehook that up. We did ask in that email that you provide us the emails of your field staff that you want access so we can get them access. So if you have anybody else you need to have access to the guides and stuff, please definitely provide us their email address so that we can grant them access so that they can use the links that Lynette is going to send out. And if you are reaching out about access, please make sure to send that to me and Lynette. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, we'll give you guys a little bit of time back. You guys have until the 20th next week to get through this and get your feedback in, and then we'll get you set up with another round of UAT that you can focus on for the following week. We really appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Thank you.